Hi.
Hey friends, been a while.
Hey.
Hey guys, we're crashing your show.
Or we're crashing
Are
yours.
we crashing your show? Yeah.
I don't know. We're having fun.
Who's being crashed?
Are we just burning here? Are we crashing and burning?
We're letting it crash, David.
We're launching like SpaceX. This is how it goes sometimes.
Yeah, let's hope we can land this.
We get off the ground. Let's keep this metaphor going.
Or not, Owen, or not.
Yeah, okay.
Welcome everyone. Welcome to our Hype-isode for ElixirConf 2024. We are very excited to be here with our friends, being Elixir, and wow, for our audio listeners, and you know, this will be on YouTube, but Owen's got his all of them?
I'm ElixirConf badge rich.
You've got your badges. Dang.
Kept all of his badge lanyards. It's awesome.
Oh my gosh.
I wear them every day.
I have all of my badges ever hanging on the back of my office door, and my cat loves them.
Ah, nice.
Oh, that's a great idea.
I'm pretty sure I've thrown all of mine away. Yeah. I don't keep on to that stuff.
I always think I should. I'm not a pack rat normally, but yeah.
Oh, but this is sentimental to you, huh?
I guess it is.
The conferences are really significant. You know, it's like one of those moments in your life. You're like, wow, I'm always going to think back on this. I need a memento. And there you have it.
Okay. Yeah. So what I'm curious, you know, we are talking about ElixirConf. I would say that Elixir has been a season of a lot of our lives, right? There's probably some memorable moments. Is there a super memorable ElixirConf or Elixir related kind of a moment? Like the day you got a job doing Elixir, like
30 minutes of dad jokes.
That's a good one.
That was funny. Yeah, people who attended virtually probably spared that.
I hope they were. I hope they were.
They got the live feed without any of the excitement and the joy of just looking around and seeing everyone just the handoff.
Just the collective feeling of being let down.
Mark, David, did you know each other when you went to your first ElixirConf, or did you know anyone when you went to your first ElixirConf? How was that for you guys?
Yeah, I knew nobody. Let's talk about what year our first ElixirConf was. Mine was 2016, I think.
Mine was the one in Aurora, Colorado.
I think that was technically my first one also. Was that 21?
Mine was 21 in Austin, 2021.
Oh, no, that was my first one. It was confusing because Lone Star Elixir was at the same venue the year before.
Actually, that's when we met because I was a new Smart Logic employee who was starting the week after ElixirConf.
Yes. So, Owen's the overachiever who started early.
That actually, talking about memorable experiences, does anyone remember the elevators at Embassy Suites?
Oh, yes.
No.
I try not to.
There was a blackout.
They were definitely not running on a supervised process. They were like just chaos mode.
Oh, no, that was a different thing. Okay. I just remember when I arrived at the Aurora conference, there was a blackout that was covering most of the city. And I was even kind of unaware of it. It's just like, oh, it's kind of, dim lighting, maybe it's like ambiance or something. And then you go to the elevators, and the elevators were working because they were on generators. But you get up to your room and it's like, oh, it's just completely black.
I think, yeah, there is something wrong. Let's see. Yeah, 2016 was in Orlando, Florida, which we're having it here again all these years later. But that one was the one with the Dolphin and the Swan. Those were the hotels there. It was on campus at Disney World. So I bet a lot of folks went to Disney World that trip.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2017 was it 2017? When was the first time we went to Aurora?
We need a history of ElixirConf. They're like,
Yes.
11, 12 years to look at? What number are we on, 11?
Golly.
Something like that.
Oh, here it is. Oh, no, 2017 was in Bellevue, Washington. I went to that one too. That one was great.
Fire.
It was 20
Oh, no, that was Seattle.
and 2018. So 2017 and 18 were in Washington. It wasn't until 2019 when we went to the Rockies.
Yes, that sounds right.
Golly.
Yeah, 2019, that's the one I went to.
Uh-huh. And then supposed to be 2020 going to the Rockies again, but I don't remember what happened in 2020. Do you remember what happened?
Black hole where that year is.
Yeah, it's just a freaking black hole.
No clue.
I mean, is that a COVID issue? I don't know.
Pandemic. Everybody lost a year of their life.
Yeah.
But that's when it went fully virtual that time. Yeah. That was that was tough.
I'll come on the other side of that. I think 2020 was the best year of my life. That's the year I started at Smart Logic.
It kind of like made the year for some folks, and other folks it just like wrecked everything, you know?
Yeah. I don't know. I often think about where I'd be in my life, my career, if not for having to like shift gears kind of necessarily that year. And, you know, I might not have been in Elixir still. I might not have done a lot of things. I wouldn't be here for sure. I wouldn't be in my house. I wouldn't be in my city. None of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So some things, you got to look at the bright side of things. But yeah, David, Mark, I was asking about, did you know anyone? Because, you know, your first ElixirConf for folks who are listening in, who've never gone, who are going this year, what should they expect? How should they interact with the world around them when they show up?
Well, I was thinking about that before we came on together. And really the thing that stands out to me is don't be afraid to talk to people. And you don't have to be like super gregarious, go up and talk to everybody and shake their hands, give them hugs, like, oh, stranger, you know, you don't have to do that. But like, just when you sit down at a table for a meal, sit down with someone you don't know, just a group of people, and just introduce yourself and learn about them. Where do they work? What kind of stuff are they doing? And I learned so much interesting stuff. Just, you know, you consider that hallway track kind of stuff, but people doing crazy cool things with Elixir in all these different situations that you don't hear about publicly. Like these are not public companies. And some of these, so this is back when I was on Elixir Mix. And I was like, oh, can I have you come on and talk about that? They're like, no, I can't talk about that.
Gold mine for you.
Yeah. It's like, oh, wow, that's really cool stuff. This company, this big old company that is using Elixir in a way that's not public. Yeah. And you can just find that stuff out when you talk with people. What are you doing?
Yeah, I loved that part of, I was just at the grocery store the other day. I picked up my Bowery farming lettuce. It's like, grown with Elixir. I'm going to eat this today. And I found that out from just talking to somebody after one of the ElixirConfs. I think we were at the airport and they mentioned Bowery farming using Elixir. And I was like, ooh, that's fun. I've seen them.
Yeah, I've gone to these conferences like in a variety of mindsets. Like the very first one, 2016, that was just 3 years into ElixirConf in the US at least. That was the third one they had. So it was pretty early, you know, like that was 1.3, Phoenix 1.3, like contacts weren't a thing back then, right? So just to get a reference of what was going on. Ecto 3.0 was just announced, I think, right? They were still doing, we were still doing like records and not maps or structs and in Elixir. I think it was about that long ago. Anyway, so that time ago, I was just really becoming a Ruby developer. So I was going there to like literally just learn. I just wanted to learn more about it. I didn't have the opportunity professionally to learn it. The next year, it was more about networking. I wanted to find that job and get that money, making that Elixir code, right? And then, yeah, a couple years later, the whole pandemic happened. Established in my job. Now it was more like there's a couple of topics that I'm like actively searching out that I want to learn more about, but then also, yeah, it was just more networking, I guess, but it wasn't really about a job anymore. The couple years after that, it was purely about talking to people. I did at last year, I honestly, and not that the conference was bad, because it wasn't. It was awesome. I was just in a different place. I didn't really care about going to the talks anymore. It was all about the hallway track. Like when I first started going to conferences, I was very confused. What are people talking about when they talk about the hallway track? Like there is no track out here. What is going on?
We should show up with some railroad tracks one year just to mess with people.
Give it an official place. Yeah.
Just a real face palm of like, oh, I'm the dumb one. it's just people talking in the hallway. That's all it is. It's really easy stuff. But yeah, like what Mark said, you really can't afford to be a wallflower. You know, you got to go sit down, open your mouth, start gabbing at some folks. And you never know, you know, what they're going to be doing. Met people from Pepsi, met people from D-Scout, where I work at now. I've met Fly.io people, all sorts of people. And that network, that sticks around. You know, if you're in the community, get to meet these people in the flesh and blood. I wasn't there for this, but I know that when Benjamin Mild, I'm probably screwing up his name, when he was introduced on stage somewhere, like people gave him a standing ovation because of how much he has done for the community. I'm nowhere near that, but like they already knew him. Just getting to share that real in-person camaraderie with him must have meant the world to him. It had to have been, right? But being in person, I think is pretty incredible at ElixirConf.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, and you were going to go to ElixirConf on your own in 2021, was it? And then you joined SmartLogic kind of like in between having, Yeah,
I was writing PHP full-time, yay. And then just the way the timing worked out, got hired at SmartLogic, took the week off for ElixirConf, and then started here at SmartLogic immediately after I got back. So that was cool because I got to meet you, Sundi, and then Yair, and I forget who else was there.
Yeah, we had a few other folks there at the time on the team.
Yeah, so that was fun. Great way to like kind of get introduced to your team. Like I don't know if everyone's going to go and meet their coworkers at ElixirConf.
I did that last year. I had only been at Cars for like 2 weeks, and then I met like 16 different engineers, and some of those engineers have been working with folks on my team for like 5 years, and they've never met, but I met them because of ElixirConf.
David, when you're talking about Benjamin, another thing that I remembered was, I think, and I've been to a few of these now, people will come up to you and tell you their avatar name.
Oh, right.
Hey, I'm so-and-so. And you're like, wait a minute. I know I've seen this person online, but I have no idea. Like, so you're going through like thousands of conversations probably in a week.
Yeah. I don't know. Total aside, but I have a screen name, back from my AIM days, AOL days. And like I kept it, but it is thoroughly gamer related only. Like I only use that for like PlayStation or something. No one's going to they probably won't find me up there, but like
David Pones.
Yeah, right. But nowhere in it's even public or professional setting like Twitter, I guess, or GitHub. Like you won't find silly screen names from me. I don't know. It's just like two different characters, really. Like I'm playing two different characters.
On the other side, I don't think I would know how to find Mark in Slack without
brain lid.
Not just brain lid, but brain lid and that exact profile photo. Yeah. He can't change it.
Do people walk up to you, Mark, and say, "Hey, brain lid"?
No, it's never happened.
Hey, it's me, brain lid.
If you're listening to this episode and you see Mark sometime in the future, please walk up to him and say that.
Yes,
that would be awesome. Well, one of the things I want to point out is how we're talking about jobs and how you guys have gotten jobs. And I just want to point out that really in just not even just like Elixir community, but just programming career path in general, networking is really where jobs happen the most.
Yeah.
Right. You're not doing the cold send in a resume to a website most of the time and having a great success. It happens. I've done it before. But a lot of the really best transitions to a new job happen through networking. And a lot of us are working remote now, right? So we don't, unless you have like local meetups that you're going to or something like that, there aren't a lot of opportunities for networking, like face-to-face time of making that connection. Mm-hmm. And conferences really are the best stand-in we have for that supports that. So I don't know, is that something that you guys you feel that way as well?
It's the advice I give to every person in the job market right now. If you were looking for a job right now, I feel for you. This market is brutal. If I could hire all of you, I would. It's so bad. And everyone, even with referrals, aren't getting callbacks. And that's kind of infuriating on one side, scary on another side. I keep telling people, if you can somehow get yourself to ElixirConf, I think you'll get a leg up by going there, but you can't guarantee it, but you really do tend to make some of the best networks when you go in person.
I'll just throw out there's the smaller ElixirConfs, like the regional ones. Those are great too. And, just put yourself out there. Say, I'm going to give a 5-minute lightning talk, share something cool that you're working on. And, I'm looking for a job, something like that. Just let people be aware. Put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Did anyone go to one of the smaller ones this year?
keep on telling myself to do it. I haven't done it. I haven't done it.
Well, you're local now to ElixirConf, so David, you don't
guess. Yeah, I can drive. Yeah, it's funny. It's been held there like 3 times now, and it's the first time I'm actually living here to go to it. I can drive to it now.
Oh, and now that you're back in Texas, you gotta get Jim on those Austin ones again.
Yeah.
So
go back to the birthplace.
right, I'm in North Dallas, which I think Jim's around here somewhere as well. We're off on a tangent, but like there's not, as far as I know, like any kind of official meetup happening in this area. There's one in Austin, which I'm dying to get to, but actually they're having one the day that we're recording this. But I've got an EV with just not quite enough miles to get there without, charging up, both ways.
Should have gotten that hybrid.
David, you're the voice of my conscience every single day. I go on a long trip. Yes. So yeah, that's, if I wanted to rent a car, go out for the night or something, that would be the way to go. But
I am very excited about the Rivian R2, but that's not why we're here.
We can't.
Right.
We can't. We shouldn't. If we start talking about cars, we'll be here for a while.
Car talk.
And a bunch of people will just say skip.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to give them timestamps.
You did mention though meetups, and I want to say that they're less effective nowadays, but that's just my personal experience. But I know that like a couple of years ago, and it's probably very localized, so it depends on your area that you're in.
Right.
But meetups were even more helpful, I think, for getting that job. More than conferences. The virtual ones, they're still pretty good, and that works well for like remote ones. But I feel like the excitement around meetup in general kind of died down. I don't know if that's like everyone got their fill.
The tool still sucks.
Yeah, the tool still sucks. But also I think everyone went so hard so quickly into remote, and then I think there was just kind of a recoil, in the past couple of years, and people wanting to go back to physical. But I haven't seen the meetups pick back up myself. But I don't know if that's true.
No, I think that's true. I think there is something in the industry right now where offices aren't back in session, right? So. Yeah. No one is paying for meetup space. Mm-hmm. So where do you go host a meetup? If I wanted to pick up and make DC Elixir in person today, I think I could get 15 people there maybe.
Yeah.
But where? Who can have it? Who can host it?
At Sundi's house.
Like if you meet at a pub or something like that, or a restaurant, it's very casual. You're not set up to be able to do presentations or anything like that. So that's a challenge. Yeah.
You gotta like yell over each other because there's another loud group next to you or something.
Yeah, I think when you're working at a place that has like a nice conference room and it's like a place that's using Elixir, that's kind of like easy mode for having an in-person meetup.
Yeah.
If your upper people are on board, but yeah, if everyone's remote, it's harder.
The New York folks are having every once in a while in-person meetups. I've been seeing some of those photos come through.
Yeah. Depends on your area, like I said. There'd probably be there's one person in my town that would go to my meetup. That would be me.
Yep. So, but we're, hopefully we're getting a chance to see each other in Orlando this year. Why don't we real quick, just for those listening, kind of rattle off the specs. The specs. What are these? The stats.
Specs.
What are we talking about? What are the current price tickets? Okay, 2024.elixirconf.com is where you will get your info that I'm about to rattle off.
We go. The conference. Conference's tickets are $1,000. It's $999. If you want to save that extra dollar, that's cool too. Training is $599 on top of your conference ticket. You could go there just for training if you really wanted to. There are virtual versions of all these for a bit off of the full price of the regular ticket, and that is until July 31st. And I can't remember. You might check your emails because I know Jim has extended some of these timelines. So what I'm saying today may not be true tomorrow.
Right now, the website says expires Wednesday, July 31st, and then it goes into, I think, roughly $50 to $100 more for tickets.
So those virtual ones, which is a good option, by the way, but you're going to miss out, I think, my perspective, you're going to miss out a lot on the networking. So if that is a primary reason for you, like job search kind of stuff, you're going to want to be there in person. And so those in-person tickets are $1,000 and $600. The virtual ones are like essentially half the price. The virtual conference is $250. So that's very attainable for anybody, in the developer space to go there and learn, some Erlang and Elixir. And then virtual training is going to be about $500. That's not quite half, but it's still a lot of effort goes into those training classes. I'm sure Owen is going to tell you. So that
oh really?
Oh yeah,
it's easy.
Be up there. Yeah.
Yeah, just like a last note, if your company happens to be offering any kind of training budget, please ask. The worst they can say is no. No one's going to yell at you for asking. Just go ahead and ask.
Absolutely.
Would love to see you there.
Yeah. Most def. And those prices we just rattled off too, like they will increase a bit, past July 31st or whenever that is going to expire. It doesn't increase a ton, not relatively anyway. But if you wanted to save a little money and you knew that you needed to go ahead and buy the ticket, book the rooms. Especially book the rooms.
Yeah, if you're listening to this podcast on the day that it comes out, you've got about a week before the prices go up a little bit on the conference. So yeah, get in there.
Go get your tickets. So talks, or why don't we go training first? Because training happens before talks. So what trainings are going to be available? How does training normally go? And has anyone here gone to a training?
No.
No, you haven't?
I have not been to a training. No.
I've floated through training classes like I was there. I creepily watched them from across the room, but you're like,
window,
can I
but
just audit this? Didn't actually like sit down and pay any money or like actually attend. I was just aware of what was going on and got to talk to folks while they're kind of taking breaks in between sessions.
Oh, and have you attended one?
It looks like there's a lot of practical stuff happening. So I've not attended training.
I'm the only one.
At ElixirConf. So wait, what training did you attend?
It was Bruce Tate's. Honestly, this was 2019. I don't remember what the subject specifically was, but it felt like one of those intro to Elixir classes. It was one of those classes where I finally got it. Like I had been kind of muddling around in Elixir at work, learning Elixir for the first time, and then 2 months in, my manager was like, "Hey, you're going to this conference. You're going to training. This is the thing." And I was like, "Okay,
sweet."
Was there like one or two things that Bruce did that you would wish that every trainer would do?
Everything that Bruce does?
I'm taking notes.
I literally, every time somebody's like, I'm struggling with pickling. Oh my gosh. Well, if you want pickling.
Pickling.
No. Anytime somebody says that they're struggling with a concept or just like picking up Elixir, because Groxio worked so well for me in how I learn, and I've gone back, I've done LiveView courses with Bruce also. I've also had some of my direct reports go take some of those Groxio classes, and they always came back saying, they are having a better understanding of the subject matter. There's OTP ones, there's LiveView specific ones. It's 2 or 3 days in those cases. In ElixirConf, it's going to be like 5 hours roughly. But for me, I think it was the biggest aha moment I ever had in my Elixir journey, which was just really explaining things without this idea that you already know what, like sometimes somebody's explaining something to you and they have this air of, well, this part. So what we're just trying to get at is this part. And you're like, no, I didn't get that at all. So now I'm very lost. I didn't get that at all with Bruce. And I wish trainers would take the time and find out what you do know before moving on with your subjects. Bruce always checks in with where you are. And these training classes are kind of smaller depending on how many people are in it. So he had the ability to do that. And for other folks who are training, I hope they get to do that, something like that as well.
Yeah. Engineers never presume knowledge, right? So, yeah, I think what's interesting about training classes, I went through a very kind of multi-week training process at a previous job a long time ago in customer service. Some of the really nice takeaways I had from that were, not presuming any knowledge. Like everyone needs to start from the same ground level and build up from there. Some people would have additional skills, but they would help each other out as well. Checking in with people, giving plenty of breaks, and being clear and like repeating concepts, especially when they're new, so that they sink in, tackling things from a couple of different perspectives sometimes. And then like practice. There's like absorption mode, and there's also like do it mode. I think that's the exciting part. Actually trying to craft a training class for a day is how much can we cover of the topic that I want to cover, and then am I delivering my message clearly enough that people can pick up and keep up with this?
I think that repetition is the mother of memory. I'm sure that's a big saying somewhere. So while you're there, repeating the thing several times, that's a technique. But mostly, a lot of developers will read a lot of documentation. They have a lot of theory in their mind, don't actually practice it. And then when it comes to actually like applying some of those principles, it's difficult. It's difficult to do that from just theory. These training classes are breaking that paradigm, forcing you to actually do it with your actual fingers to create the thing. And I think that is like when I was in school, I never went back to my notes that I wrote. I just had to write the notes. Like that was it. I almost never went back to my notes. It's just, it was just a way of practicing it, I guess.
The process of writing is a way of ingraining.
So that's the fun part about doing training. So like I've done a few talks now, and I rehearse, I used to be a musician, and so like I rehearse. Imagine like there's an audience in front of me. That way, whenever I get on stage, it's not, it helps me with my nerves. So I know not everyone practices. Some people write their slides the night before, and I can't imagine operating that way. But there's like, I think, the plan is like I'm going to do a kind of a mini version of this remotely, but there's not like a really a full way to practice a training class, at least the way it's going to be at ElixirConf, because, there will be a group of people in this room for the first time. So we'll be a little bit winging it, but, hopefully we'll be well enough prepared to actually deliver some useful tidbits.
Just a long mob pairing session.
Well, so we've talked about it, but have you actually said what you're doing?
Right. Okay. So myself and one of my coworkers here at Smart Logic, Charles from our team, Charles Suggs, will be my co-trainer. We're going to lead a workshop on building maintainable LiveView components. So we're going to do everything from like some of the stuff you see in core components. Yeah. We're going to think about like, all right, this is like a nice starting point. How do we want to like change what we see in here? Do we want to reorganize it? Rethink some of the things that were being done in that module. We're going to maybe kind of build some new components that aren't in there, like maybe like drop downs, maybe something I was building today. More advanced components like live components, and maybe some like even embedded LiveView things that act like a component because they need to maintain their own state. So those are some of the things I'm working on this week, kind of between projects. So that's the preparation we're doing right now. We've gone through and brainstormed and have like a rough outline of what we think we can do within the day.
Nice.
And so that's kind of where we're at. And hopefully in a few weeks we'll be able to do a trial run internally and then be ready to go for August 27th in Orlando.
It's nice having a partner, right? Like to bounce ideas off of and everything. I find it's easier to prepare, when it's not just you in your head, but you with a real person. This might be the earliest this might be the most on track I have felt with getting slides prepared for ElixirConf. We're like halfway, we're almost completely done with our rough draft, and now it's kind of designing the fun stuff.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Crazy, right?
Oh, very nice. Oh, don't set the bar too high. Gotta leave a little room for spontaneity too. That's always good.
That's fair. That's fair. Well, we're going to do a test run tomorrow, so we'll see how that goes.
At least 5 minutes of dad jokes. Just full on Sundi style dad jokes.
There'll be Pokemon jokes.
I'll take Pokemon over dad jokes.
All right. Well, so there's a lot of training courses going on. You mentioned yours, of course. I'm very excited about that. It's in person, by the way. It's not virtual, right?
I think there's virtual training offered, though.
Well, right, there is.
Yeah, so our class will be in person. I don't know. I think there's some of these classes will be both. Yeah, there's some of the classes are virtual. David, do you know like
one of them is done? One of them is done in person and virtually, but past that one, the rest of them are either only virtual or only in person. So you have the Unlock the Power of LiveView Native, which is in person. That's Brooklyn Myers and Brian Cardarella. No surprise there. I'm sure that'll be good. You got Instrumenting Elixir Applications. That's the one where it is both in person and or virtual. It's a training class. That's going to be a good one. Instrumenting, last I remember I looked at it, I think that's going to be a lot about open telemetry, which is great.
No biases
you also
there,
have,
but I'm just going to throw it out there. Ethan and Zach are great. You're going to learn a lot if you want to go to that one.
Yes.
Oh, right. That's okay. Yeah, a little representing there. That's I forgot about that.
I just want to interject right here, just because what's interesting is the virtual classes are held on Friday, August the 23rd. So like that Instrumenting Elixir Applications, there's going to be 2 times that class is being held. So it's going to be held virtually and then a separate one for in person. So because I imagine it'd be very difficult as someone who's running it to try and manage the people who are virtual and the people who are in front of you, trying to keep on top of all that. So yeah. So all the virtual classes, you could attend those on Friday, August the 23rd.
Yeah. There is another training class about enriching your videos with AI. So lots of interweaving a bunch of domains. That sounds pretty interesting. That's going to be by the Software Mansion folks, the folks that do Membrane, I believe. That'll be in person. Kind of surprised that they're coming a long way, but I'm very happy for that. Yours, of course, Owen, and then also Ash Framework. Zach Daniel, who's somewhat local, and then Josh Price over
very not local. Very, very, very not local.
Yeah. Fun guy to talk to, though. So Ash Framework, they're doing a class on that. They're from Alembic, putting that on. And then there's several of the virtual ones. We already talked about a couple. There's another one that is LiveView Deep Dive. One of the few classes is actually run by one person, at least according to the agenda here. And then lastly, you mentioned Bruce Tate. He's doing a virtual class as well. And this is Machine Learning Tapas, 3 Elixir AI appetizers, which will be pretty interesting.
Definitely won't walk away hungry.
See, 5 minutes of that in your talk and you'll do great.
Yeah.
So I know each of us here has given a talk, and you've probably given a talk at the same time as the talk you wanted to attend. I'm having the same experience now. I want to go to all these training classes.
You could go to one on Friday.
Right. Well, okay. So here's sneak peek. My plans are I'm going to Miami for a few days before the conference. I might be too chilled out to actually absorb anything, but I'll see. I'll pencil it in.
A chill out's gonna happen in Miami. Miami's not a chill out place, man.
Well, I've never been, so maybe I'm way off. But the plan is to chill. Maybe
don't expect to learn
maybe
there.
I won't be as chill as I thought. Right. I'll be out on the
Be
beach,
sitting on the beach with the Mai Tai, with your laptop there, watching.
Right.
Headphones in. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Yeah, I can see that. Sorry, Judge.
And then, of course, we've got a really huge lineup of talks, as we usually do. I'm actually really excited that I don't know a lot of these people. I love meeting new people, and I love hearing from new people and new perspectives. It's one of my favorite things about being on this podcast, just getting to chat with so many people. And I don't know so many of these names.
There's a lot of good familiar faces too. Herman Velasco's done some. I've done one. Chris Granger, has done one. Charlie Holtz has done one last year. Brooklyn Myers has done one last year. There are a good mixture of familiar folks, but it is like remarkably good, like to see a fresh mix of them as well. It's not ElixirConf 2021. Control C, Control V. It's not copy paste.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We could read the whole list, or
we could provide the link in the show notes below.
There are simply too many to go over here. There are so many though. Yeah. But I will point out though, you are giving your training class, but then you're also giving a talk. So you're kind of doing this stuff twice.
Am I?
Owen.
There's a section of trainers. So yeah, it's not a talk, but it's
news to Owen.
All right, I screwed up. Good.
Well, Sundi's got a talk.
You're like, oh no.
Yeah, me and my colleague Christian Cook are giving a talk on how to get a promotion. That is not the title of the talk. We decided on a very, fun. What is it? It's so many words I can't even.
Engineering Your Promotion for Elixirists, a practical guide to career advancement. Very
Yeah,
cool.
we wanted to make it sound like a storybook. Anyways, we have strong feelings on the subject. And as an engineering manager, I will work with people all the time on leveling up their careers. There are some specific advantages I've found as an Elixir folk that you could do, particularly with the community, but also just like opportunities that are out there. I did mention the market sucks this year, so I don't know that that it'll all apply. But yeah, we're really excited to give this talk, and I'm looking forward to sharing that and meeting everyone who wants to talk about that.
It's exciting. I really love technical talks, but career-minded talks are also very, very useful because people coming into this is like their first job, and some people who might have been operating for a couple decades, if not in Elixir, in other languages. I think there's a lot to learn there.
My personal goal that I hope comes out of the talk is I would love to see some folks in the room who are looking for mentorship find a mentor in the community. Whether they walk out of that room and their mentor is the person they sat next to or somebody they meet in the hallway track. It doesn't have to be anything formal, but I find that's a question I get the most often. And when they ask, like, how did you find your mentor? Where did you find a mentor? How do you even approach that conversation? I usually say, well, maybe there's somebody here, who wouldn't mind chatting with you every other month or so just to see what you've done recently. That's not, part of your org, because that can be a biased mentorship. Or a very, your org could do something very specifically one way, and you learn from other folks who do things another way. I always find that very beneficial. So my own hope for that is that we see some more mentorship coming out of ElixirConf.
One thing I want to call out there is you, dear listener, may not be thinking of yourself as a mentor. Like, oh, I couldn't be a mentor. And really, I like to think of it as like a highway with a bunch of cars traveling on it. If you are 2 or 3 car lengths ahead of the person behind you, you've already experienced more, right? And you don't have to be like the guru, the one that has all the answers on the top of the mountain. No, you don't have to do that. You just being willing to help somebody else out, give them a little bit of advice, like Sundi was saying, being able to just say, I can look at some of your code on a periodic basis, and I'm not going to, you're not committing to pair programming every day with them. It's nothing like that, right? Just like being able to field some questions like, hey, I'm stuck on something. How do I figure out what to do with this? You can be a mentor.
And even
imagining road raging now and how to zipper merge the thing, right. How to carry this metaphor through.
Well, even if you don't find a quote unquote mentor, you will find some highly opinionated friends who will be happy to share their thoughts on any topic.
You will, in fact, find that whether you want to or not at ElixirConf, there are opinions. Embrace the opinions.
Yeah. I do want to highlight that. You say that, and there were a couple of talks where I'm like, I was very resistant about it. I was like, I don't think this is not going to be any good. And I listened to it. I'm like, crap. Now I'm challenged. like, dang it. And it's honestly some of those talks where I continue to think about it. It's that little mind worm, It's just like it festered even more in a good way, though. Like in a way that just kind of made me continue to think about it and create my own opinion about it, and like know why I believed the things that I believed versus what was handed to me in some conference talk. And it wasn't more like I'm solidifying my own opinion. It was like, no, it actually made me understand the other perspective a little bit more, and not be so opinionated in my own little things. And I am literally talking about Elixir, though, because you can kind of apply that to anything. It's a life lessons, but it does happen in tech circles as well. That's my point, I guess. And those are honestly some of the fun ones to go to because of that, because you just continue to think about it. And then you realize that it's not such a big deal anyway, and you get to talk to the guy or to the girl, and then it's just people, man. Like this it ain't that big of a deal. Like we're all still trying to figure this out, and most of all, I think we're all just trying to enjoy it. And I definitely see that a lot when I go to ElixirConf. I see a lot of folks that really enjoy what they're doing, and I get to see that passion come out more than anything else. That's why sometimes these talks, I don't really care about what they're talking about, but I love seeing all of the energy around it, and all the, like why they care about that. Like why should I care more about testing? I get to learn from Herman Valesco about why that matters so much to him, because he's found like his rhythm, he found like a good way to speed up his development process, all that kind of stuff. And I wouldn't have known that if he didn't carry that energy, I don't know.
Yeah. I think even listening to somebody who's very passionate about something, even in non-tech terms, if they're very passionate about a thing and they're just telling me about it, I'm just like, wow, it is so much fun to hear you talk about this thing because you love this thing so much. And I have never thought more than, or I've never thought about it once. It's just never.
Yeah.
So it's
it
cool.
leaves an impression.
Yeah.
Because like when you, Sundi, are like, we need an engineer, even if it's not about the particular topic that they were talking about, you will have heard how they communicate, how they express their thoughts, and all the thought that kind of went into that.
Mm-hmm.
And like that person might be on your radar. So like, that's always handy. I think another fun thing to do when you're attending ElixirConf, even if you're not a speaker, is to think of challenging yourself. So are there ideas that you're having as you listen to other talks or out in the hallway, or just when you're kind of decompressing? Are there ideas that you have about things that you would like to talk about as well? Like, would you like to present something about, I don't know, components, passkeys? I don't know, anything.
Right.
You're definitely not interested in those.
Do I talk about that? No, never thought about them before in my life.
Very passionate.
And then whenever you give that talk, you get to be badgered by one of your favorite podcast hosts about WebAuth and yeah, attending as a speaker is fun, and then also just kind of like just absorbing things as an attendee is also super fun.
We have in one of our Slack channels where we like chat about our talk ideas at work, we have a countdown to Elixir. It's not at all stressful. It pings the channel and it's like, all right, countdown to 26 August. This is how many days left. And you're like, oh, great. And just pings the whole channel every Monday.
That's funny.
Yeah. It's the channel
that's
where
not
we're trying to make sure our talks are ready.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of talks, are there themes? I mean, I see some themes running through these talks. Are there some that stand out to you guys? Maybe Mark?
Just looking through the talks, like there's a number of them that are, you see things about data processing. You see a theme of nerves. And nerves is always one of those things like I would love to play more with that. I just don't have, I'm not willing to dedicate the time right now, right? But nerves is so cool. I remember watching Justin Sneck's demo of Nerves Hub, right? And it's like, wow, that is so cool.
Yeah.
That was just neat. But yeah, so I mean, there's machine learning stuff. There's lots of different tracks or topics that you could say you want to focus on. Sasha Urich, he's going to be talking about folding the umbrella, about project structure, right? So, I mean, we know of umbrella projects, and they were very popular for a time, and now they seem not popular. I want to know what Sasha has to take on that. He's always got an interesting take.
And Owen's usually talking about ETLs, but this time David is.
Boom. Yeah. Well, it's actually a lot of folks are, but I think there's going to be a good like delineation of which one you might want to go to. Like, I'll be talking about ETLs in the small. It's honestly, I'm kind of like, I'm not going to say this very positively about my talk, but I'm kind of ripping off a couple other talks and combining them into one, right? That have like really impacted me and how I think about this kind of stuff. And it's naming the extract, transform, load, and it's kind of stealing that term and applying it to the small. When you think about ETLs, it's like the first thing you think of is, man, now I got data lakes, data bricks, snowflakes and snow lakes and all this, like Broadways and Kafkas and all these words that start to not mean anything, and Google and Apple, and I'm not any of those. It's so easy to just kind of balloon and think that it's something so large. So I'm gonna keep it in the small. So that's mine. But there's like at least two other talks here of Mickey Rosenis, a coworker of mine, is talking about ecto multis and Oben. Of course, Parker Selbert will be there to talk about Oben. Well, all of that has to do with processing data. You've got Reed Morrison talking about leveraging Broadway to parallelize Kafka stuff. So there's definitely some, big ETL stuff going on there. There's another one on here too. There's Chris Granger's talks on data frames are not just for data scientists. I don't know if he's talking about ETLs, but data frames is about a lot of data and making sense of that. So like he's going to be touching on that. There's Chris Bailey talking about scaling past joins, a framework for kind of materialized views, but on the application side. So a lot of data there, messaging with limits, concurrent multi-stage data processing in the real world by Brian Meeker. Oh my gosh, so much stuff about, about processing data. This is the last thing I'll say. I'll shut up. But Elixir is so good at this, and like it's stuck in my head. Like 2 or 3 years ago, we went to ElixirConf when LiveView came out, and the whole thing was about LiveView. The whole conference was about LiveView, which was amazing. It is groundbreaking, but I remember walking away from that and really being impacted by Broadway the most. Broadway. I can't remember his name, but another person that used to be at Platformatech gave the talk about Broadway and visualized it, and I was just blown away. But the whole conference was about LiveView. So all that to say, too, is that I'm glad that the conference this year is much more balanced in all of its talks, but I am happy to see that we are leaning into some of the strengths.
I'm so excited.
Yes. Yeah. I'm also seeing some really interesting talks. So yeah, we've got definitely some LiveView stuff happening. I'm seeing a couple talks about music and video processing. Those are very interesting. Building Africa's water and sanitation information network sounds amazing.
I want to hear that so much.
Yeah.
We started on FarmBot. Now we're talking about like an entire ecosystem of water with Elixir. That's wild. Of course, there will be some AI, but I think maybe a little bit less than last year. So
which is almost surprising to hear less AI this year than last year because of how much more AI is in our face now.
Well, I will say I had planned to give a presentation on AI at ElixirConf. And then, so I was totally on board. I was super excited about it. It's all about agents and having, these asynchronous workers that kind of act on your behalf with whatever directives you give them and the permissions you grant them. But then I set off on my own. The timing was right. And I'm fully dedicated into this startup, which, is using AI as part of it. But because of that, and just like this whole idea of like, wow, I really feel the pressure to get this up and going and running, that I had to back out from actually attending and presenting because I just couldn't focus to give really what I wanted to put into it for the presentation. So that's my unfortunate sadness there.
We're sad we won't see you, but I'm honestly very glad that you mentioned that because a lot of people wouldn't do that. Like I've known several people who wanted to go for something very badly and tried to take on everything that they had going and they didn't know how to let go. I am definitely one of those people who will try to take on everything. And honestly, being self-aware of what you can handle and what you want to focus on, like where you want to prioritize your time is like such a big thing. And that's like a whole section of slides, just a little preview. Whole section of slides in my talk.
I mean, there are books about this, right? Just the ability to say no to things, right? Mm-hmm. And like if you hear Steve Jobs talk, he'd say like, you can have 1,000 ideas, but it's all the things you say no to that matter about what you end up with. So yeah.
Actually, that is such a pro segue to. I was looking at the keynotes.
Oh yeah,
and Jose's keynote is the projects that never were.
Ooh, I didn't see that. That's awesome.
There's like synergy happening here.
I didn't see that we had titles here.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
that's
so
new.
You don't know? I wonder what we could possibly be getting from Chris McCord this year.
Yeah, it just says keynote DVD.
It's not going to be a surprise.
I think it'll be a woodworking keynote.
It just brings out his saw, his tape.
Yeah,
Right.
this is how this birdhouse turned out. I'm pretty sure this was the keynote. I'm putting it in now. That's my prediction.
Yeah. So it probably has nothing to do with any Phoenix stuff.
The projects that never were. That's so fun. I am so excited for that.
Yeah, so he just describes it as, at Dashbit, we have started and co-maintained several projects to move the Elixir community forward: GenStage, Broadway, Rec, NX, Livebook, and more. However, there are also several projects we discuss and build proof of concepts for, but ultimately decide not to move forward with. And then it takes a look at what those are. So yeah, it's either you realize maybe this doesn't need to be its own independent library. It's not that significant or big enough. I don't know.
How do you make that decision?
Exactly.
I'm so
Better
excited
yet,
here.
someone else can build it, right?
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't want to do this. I'll just float it and someone else will
just
build it.
nerd
for me.
snipe someone else into it.
Yes, the whole community.
Yeah. Jose is always saying, if you want that thing, go out there and be the difference you want to see in the world. Build the thing. Because people are always asking him for
Yeah.
stuff. He's like, you can build it.
The only one I'm aware of that didn't work out was BytePack. You remember BytePack?
Yeah, it's the idea of being able to pay for private repositories of packages. Yeah.
Right. I guess you could say a spiritual successor, probably no real connection. I have no idea. But a spiritual successor would have been CodeShip or something like that. It kind of does that same thing now and across ecosystems. But yeah, man, ooh, that's going to be good. I'm curious. That's an ideas kind of talk, like one that's going to have you spinning for a bit. That's going to be good.
We've got some other new names here as well. So Justin Schneck, he's given keynotes before. So he's got one about life and logic. So human in the loop, life and logic in the era of bio-integrated computation. Sounds sciencey.
Bio-integrated, like computation, is that just
Well, yeah.
brain?
Does that mean, well, yeah, is it like a medical devices? Is it like chip in the brain? Or is it like farm bio? Who knows? Bio means so many different things. But yeah, so that one looks cool. We got our YouTube influencer, Twitch influencer, Theo, who made a splash by highly praising Phoenix and LiveView a few weeks ago. So I'll be giving a keynote.
Yeah, we'll have to leave a link to some of those videos. I think those are pretty cool.
Yes. Yeah, and then Ellie Fairholm and Joseph Pep Geralt de Lacoste. Sorry if I butchered that, but they're also talking about engineering Elixir applications. If you don't deploy it, it ain't real, and that is 100% true.
Yeah.
It's definitely not real if all you did was buy the domain name, for those of you who had to hear that today.
Yeah.
We've never done that.
Yeah, we've had them both on to talk with us, and so they were the ones who were talking about Beam Ops, which is like DevOps around the Beam applications, not just Elixir but Erlang as well. Just how do I deploy and maintain a Beam application? So yeah, very cool. Interesting to see what they have to say.
Yeah.
And Chris McCord's keynote is still TBD. We don't know at the time of this recording what that's going to be. But he usually drops some kind of bombshell, like maybe that's when LiveView 1.0 will be launched or announced or something like that.
Oh God, I hope so.
Let's see. We are at release candidate number 6, so it's gotta be
soon.
conference day, right? Like he's gonna hit, hex.publish on stage.
I hope he does that. That would be great.
And that will be right when his Wi-Fi goes down, and it'll just be...
No, we get 30 more minutes of dad jokes because the projector goes offline or something.
Well, I think this will be one of the most fun years. And it would be only more fun if Mark would be there.
Oh man, I wish I could.
But other than that, it'll be one of the most fun years.
But one of the things I want to highlight is just in the past, the keynotes have always been released first. And like they're not held back very long. Those are released usually pretty soon. So if for whatever reason you're not able to attend, some of those big keynotes are going to be available pretty soon, and which we really appreciate. And then eventually some of the other talks that you're maybe really interested in seeing, those will be released. So the virtual way is the way to get, like if you are really interested in that topic, that's the best way if you can't physically be there. But if you're interested in the whole aspect of networking, connecting with people, just geeking out over cool things like Elixir or just whatever you happen to care about, and you connect with somebody who's a kindred spirit who loves, the, I don't know, Dragon Balls, Pokemon, integration mesh, something. They're everywhere, right? Just people who have interesting, unusual ideas and passions. And so, yeah, you'll find great people to connect with.
Yeah. The virtual ticket will also get you access to that platform, by the way. So if it's totally just a scheduling thing and you can't make it right on those days, you can still pick up the virtual ticket, and get instant access to those recordings.
Yep.
And you won't have to wait so long, personally. And given the prices of those tickets, not that it's a charity, but you are supporting the Elixir community at that point, and also getting the benefit of getting those talks early. Because a lot of these topics, they age. Some of the talks from like 2016 are still applicable today, but all of these like specific ones about libraries, about like, things that are just old at this point, it's not really that helpful anymore, So these are talks that are going to be relevant to us for the next like couple of years, but maybe not past that, at least when they're about specific things.
Yeah, for sure.
So critically, we had Lazy River because, the other resort had Lazy River. They had, Falconers. So are we going to be like riding dolphins and whales, or like how does this work at SeaWorld Resort?
Yeah. So if you haven't heard, this is at SeaWorld on a resort hotel somewhere on SeaWorld. So it's relatively close to Disney World as well. If you'd rather go there, you're totally welcome to. The SeaWorld would be much more convenient. I think it'd be like across the street though. Yeah, I don't know what fun things. I don't know if we're going to see, like Free Willy musicals on the stage or not.
Will you be there?
Or like Flipper, I don't know if Flipper will come up on stage. Like who knows? I am prepared to be surprised. There's always something. But I am for sure. A lot of folks out there that are traveling in, a lot of the cost is the travel. So if you're on the fence about like booking an extra night, just one night, man, just one night.
Spend the night at David's house.
Yeah, give yourself an extra day and give yourself permission to go to SeaWorld just one day. You don't have to make a whole weekend of it. Because, it's nice to relax. Nice to not think about Elixir too every once in a while, just chill out with some dolphins and sea lions or whatever else they got there.
Or with Mickey, because, Orlando, right? There's,
Mickey,
there's Disney World. There's the every nights of fireworks, which I was surprised to see last year. That was kind of fun.
Yeah. It is a destination to go to, so take advantage of it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm excited. I hope you're excited, and I hope everyone else listening is excited, and that they're all right now going to get their tickets for ElixirConf.
If they haven't already,
Yes.
because, half of the people listening right now already have them.
You think so?
It's probably true. I feel like they all probably went in on an early bird as soon as they could get their hands on them.
I choose to believe that we're responsible for like 80% of ticket sales for ElixirConf. So for what it's worth, Jim, yeah. Awesome. Well, this is great. I can't wait to see you all there. Mark, you're going to have to David's going to walk around with an iPad, robot form or whatever. So I'm going to have to see you there virtually.
Yep.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool. Well, see you all there.
See you in Orlando.
See you there.
Hey, friends. This just in. If you are listening to this episode, you have $50 off to ElixirConf for 2024. Please use code ElixirPodcast at checkout, and you'll get $50 off to your ticket for ElixirConf this year in Orlando, Florida. Hope to see you there.